Good. Thank you all. If there's no other member, thank you for coming, and do sit back, relax, and enjoy our meeting. Over to you, President Paul.
Yes, thank you very much, P. Jr.
Yeah.
Any apologies for absent, Secretary DLG Willie? DLG Willie, do you have any apologies?
No, not that I'm aware of, President Paul.
Okay, then. Thank you very much. We'll move on to the recognition of birthdays and anniversaries by our Vice President Newton. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, President Paul. Good evening, everyone. I know today is truly a ladies' night, so we have two ladies who are going to, I'm pretty sure, be teaching us some things we didn't know. And in terms of the birthdays, we have 3 ladies. Today is the birthday of Nicola, and Nicola is the wife of past chairman Stephen Gregg. And on the 6th, we have 2 persons. We have Dorothy, who is the wife of Kiwani and Patrick Barnes, and we have Yvonne, who is the wife of Errol Anderson. They both celebrate their birthdays on the 6th. So we wish them a happy birthday today. That's for Nicola, and for Yvonne and Dorothy when it comes on the 6th. Now, through President Paul, I would like to invite anyone else who is celebrating any special occasion to let us know so we can celebrate with you.
Good afternoon again. Good evening again. President David here from Texas High School Key Club. Tomorrow, my father and my aunt will be celebrating their birthday.
Okay, well, I hope you have something planned, special planned for them. You get 2 for 1, so it's that much cheaper. Say happy birthday to them for us when it comes.
Will do, sir.
Okay. Anyone else?
Hello.
All right. Well,
Good night.
go ahead. Hi.
My name is Anyashi Cameron. I am from Key Club in St. Jude's High School. Yes. This week, Thursday, will be my form teacher's birthday.
Okay. Well, I'm pretty sure you'll tell her we all say happy birthday. This week, Thursday, that's the day after tomorrow, right?
Yes, sir.
Well, let her know we say happy birthday.
Okay, sir.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right. Well, as I say, it's ladies' night. So I'm pretty sure, especially PDT Ralston don't want to see me hanging around much longer. So it's all back to you, President Paul.
Yes, thank you very much, VP Newton. Indeed, we'll have our Q&S education segment, and I will call on our DLG William to do so.
Thank you, President Paul. Tonight, I'm going to look at the Kiwanis Standard Form for Club Bylaws and Policies in respect to Article 6, which deals with Board of Directors, and this is information for our newer members and our prospects. 6.1, the Club Board of Directors consists of the President, immediate past President, President-elect, Treasurer, Secretary, Vice President, and all directors and such other positions as may be required by the laws of local jurisdiction. 6.2, the board has the following responsibilities: provide general management of the club and otherwise delegated to the membership in these bylaws or club policy. Assure the club complies with applicable governmental rules and regulations. Determine the good standing status of members in accordance with club policy. Perform other duties as provided in these bylaws and club policy. 6.3, a majority of the members of the entire board constitutes a quorum, and a majority vote of the board members present and voting is required for all business unless otherwise provided in these bylaws or club policy. 6.4, The board will meet regularly at the designated place and time that it determines. The board may hold special meetings at the call of the president or a majority vote of the board, provided at least 48 hours previous notice is given to board members of the date, time, place, and topic. Subject to laws of local jurisdiction, the board may meet and conduct business by any method that allows all participants to simultaneously communicate with each other or as otherwise allowed by law. Participation constitutes attendance. Normal board meeting rules apply. If any votes taken verbally are unclear, they should be taken by roll call. Finally, the board may take no action in conflict with an action of the membership. Other than disciplinary measures, an action of the board may be rescinded or amended by 2/3 vote of the club members present and voting, provided at least 14 days previous notice is given to the members. Thank you, President Paul. That's our Kiwanis education for this evening.
Yes, thank you very much, Secretary DLG Willie. At this time, we'll have our guest speakers being introduced. And I will ask Kiwanis Martina to do so. Kiwanis Martina?
Are you hear me now?
Yes, we are. Yes, go ahead.
Hi. Good afternoon, everybody. So tonight we're pleased to have two guest speakers with us, Miss Vanetta Nurse and Miss Rosanna Pike, who will be educating us on the topic of front of package warning labels and its benefit to consumers. They're both from the Global Health Advocacy Project. We first start by introducing Miss Vanetta Nurse, who is currently the Advocacy Officer for the Global Health Advocacy Project at the Heart Foundation of Jamaica, where she is involved in sensitization and advocacy activities for obesity prevention and food policies and support Jamaica Coalition for Tobacco Control. She holds a Master's of Public Health specializing in health education promotion from the University of the West Indies, Mona, and is currently pursuing a Master's of Science in Public Health Nutrition at the University of Technology, Jamaica. She has had professional experience in food safety, quality management, standards development, health education promotion, and advocacy in public health nutrition. She is passionate about improving the health and lives of Caribbean population, adults, and children through health promotion and policies for the prevention of non-communicable diseases. Our second guest speaker is Ms. Vanetta Pike, who is the Health Education Officer for the Global Health Advocacy Project within the Heart Foundation of Jamaica. Rosanna holds a Bachelor in Dietetics and Nutrition from the University of Technology, Jamaica, specializing in nutrition education, nutrition counseling, and clinical and community nutrition. She later developed a strong liking for community nutrition and health promotion during her latter years at the university while working with her team and the Heart Foundation, which has inspired her to pursue a master's in public health. Rosanna uses her positive attitude and tireless energy to encourage others to work hard and succeed. Rosanna is inspired daily by her diligent partner and mother. In her free time, Rosanna likes to dance, practice yoga, and build on her vocabulary as she is a past national spelling bee champion through reading. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a warm welcome to our guest speakers. I thank you.
Good evening. Thank you, Rosanna.
Right, I would like the host to allow me share screening properties, please.
While we do that, I would just like to say on behalf of our team at the Heart Foundation, thank you for having us. It's our pleasure to be here today. Our other team members are also on the call with us. Mrs. Barbara Mogaw, she is the project manager for the Global Health Advocacy Project, as well as Mrs. Caroline Morris Cook, she's the communications officer
and Michelle Gay Gordon Carruthers, who is our administrative assistant. So we have a full team today, and it's our pleasure being here. And thank you for such lovely music as we waited for the meeting to start. Okay, all right. I will begin the presentation, and then my colleague Rosanna will pick up. Next slide, Rosanna.
I don't know why it's frozen, but hopefully soon.
So we're gonna just give you a short overview, and I hope it will be beneficial. We're going to be speaking about front of package warning labels, something that we advocate very strongly for the health of the Jamaican population. We'll start with a project background, a background to our project, why we do what we do. The Jamaican health landscape, we will give you an overview of some of the challenges that are facing all of us, an introduction to front of package labeling, and specifically the importance of front of package warning labels to consumers, and why we want you to support our advocacy and our messages going forward. Next slide. Okay, so our project is entitled the Global Health Advocacy Project. The title of the project is Support a Healthy Jamaican Population by Reducing Obesity through Public and Policymaker Awareness around healthy eating, as well as advocating for policy change. So those are the changes that will have long-lasting effects and the most spread, the most effect on the larger amount of persons in the population. So our objectives are to increase public support for obesity and NCD prevention policies through our advocacy campaigns to reach decision makers on the health impact of unhealthy foods and beverages. We also seek to build support of policymakers and key stakeholders to implement these policies, which include sugary drinks tax, front of package warning label, restriction of marketing of unhealthy foods and beverages to children, as well as a comprehensive school nutrition policy. So those would be our policy priorities, those four you see on the screen. These policies are rooted in evidence. They have been shown to work. Front of package labeling has been implemented in several countries, and my colleague will speak some more about the evidence for the warning labels, and they do in fact allow consumers to make healthier choices. Support for healthy foods in schools. So we don't have a national school nutrition policy. The policy is supposed to be advanced to cabinet soon. So we are trying to advocate for its quick implementation, because as we know, healthy habits start early, and there's no place better to reach as many children as possible than in the food environment in their schools. The sugar sweetened beverage tax we advocate for as a health promoting tax to discourage the consumption of sugar sweetened beverages. These are been linked to non-communicable diseases. And we would hope that such a tax would be earmarked towards public health initiatives or school feeding programs, for example, and the restriction of the marketing of unhealthy foods and beverages to children because of how impressionable children are. And it becomes an ethical dilemma when children don't know the intention of the marketing, and now they favor certain brands of unhealthy foods because of the type of television ads they see or advertisements close to their schools or in their schools. So for these reasons, these are our policy priorities. Next slide. Some of our activities include what we're doing right now. So public education and sensitization. We have our mass media campaign, which you may have heard we recently launched a new phase of our campaign, October 14. We do advocacy to key stakeholders, ministries, departments, and agencies, and we have maintained and expanded our partnerships. We actually have 18 NGO partners. They're faith-based, civil society, schools, government, as well as many outreach partners. So parenting groups, agricultural groups, youth groups. We also work well with the Caribbean Institute of Health Research as our research partner, as well as the Ministry of Health and Wellness. So let's take a look at the problem that we're facing. So Jamaica and the rest of the world, we have faced a nutrition transition in the past few decades. So we're eating more processed foods. We moved from our natural diets, fruits, vegetables, ground provisions, to more processed, prepackaged foods and drink. They are convenient, they're readily accessible, they're even probably more affordable and heavily marketed. So many, ads for these types of foods and drinks, and most are high in salt, unhealthy fat, and sugar. So with our change in diet, with this accessibility and heavy marketing, there is an increased risk of overweight and obesity and non-communicable diseases such as type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease, and even certain types of cancer. Unfortunately, many of us know someone with one or more of these diseases. It's very commonplace in our society right now. A major risk factor, would be our eating practices as well as or lack of certain types of movement. So the WHO recommends that we reduce our consumption of foods high in unhealthy fats, added sugar, and sodium for optimum health and to prevent these non-communicable diseases as well as further complications. So if you have type 2 diabetes, maintaining a healthy diet can actually prevent complications, further complications of diabetes. So taking a closer look, according to the WHO, 78% of deaths, all deaths in Jamaica are caused by non-communicable diseases, not homicide, not road traffic accidents, non-communicable diseases. The Jamaica Health and Lifestyle Survey, the most recent one, documented some unhealthy eating practices. So we are eating foods high in salt. We are eating, there's a low consumption of fruits and vegetables. We are having sugary drinks and processed foods. Then the survey also showed that 1 in 2 Jamaicans 15 and over are overweight or obese. 1 in 3 Jamaicans 15 and older has hypertension. Many are undiagnosed, and 1 in 8 has type 2 diabetes. So what we have also seen is that similar trends as it relates to obesity in children. So there's been a 68% increase in overweight in children in our adolescent population in the past 7 years. And what we're left with would be high cost to our health system, individuals and families, treatment and care for non-communicable diseases. That's a pretty penny. Some people can't even access the kind of care they need to access because of the cost. So straining our families, our productivity as well, or our ability to provide for our families. And non-communicable diseases, there's such high rates in Jamaica have left us vulnerable to COVID-19. Persons with underlying comorbidities have an increased risk of severe illness and even death if they contract COVID-19. So we are actually facing 2 pandemics now, and or pre-existing pandemic of non-communicable diseases have left us vulnerable to this one. And I've heard people say that this is not the last pandemic we will face. So we need solutions and we need a way to build back stronger as a population. Next slide. So one of the key tools and solutions is nutrition labeling on foods, because it's intended to provide us with a way to make healthier choices, to choose healthier foods, to understand what's in our foods, right? So it's an important population-based approach to provide an environment where we can make healthier choices. There are many types of nutrition labeling. So you will have the nutrition facts panel, which is a square table that's usually at the back of the package that will tell you the amount of calories, the amount of salt, fat, sugar, vitamins, mineral. There are health claims, so 100% vitamin C or high in fiber. You will have prevents cardiovascular diseases, zero trans fat, those type of claims. And there's also front of package labeling, which we'll get into. Next slide. So there are some challenges with nutrition labeling in Jamaica in that some foods will carry the information on their labels and packaging, but some will not, simply because the nutrition facts panel that you see there on the left of the screen is not mandatory in Jamaica. So it does not have to be there. You'll see lots of products with it because they are trying to keep up with the times. Some companies do actually care and do actually want to declare their nutrition facts. Some are exporting, so they have to have the facts panel, but it's not mandatory. Only if there is a particular health claim on the product. If it is present though, it's sometimes technical and difficult to read and understand. And so with this lack of policy and nutrition information on labels, we do need something simpler for consumers to understand what's in their food. Next slide. And because consumers, I mean, if you really think about it, sometimes when you're going to the supermarket or the wholesaler where you buy your goods, you spend very little time making a decision. You're going to choose the product that you know or the product that's available. And it's been shown that consumers spend less than 10 seconds making food choices. So if you have to really make certain calculations based on that nutrition facts panel, you would be at a disadvantage. Consumers in Jamaica have also said that it takes too much time to interpret the nutrition label. So as I mentioned, with this disadvantage, we would really need an easier way to make healthier food choices when shopping. And that is where front of package warning labels come in. Next slide. And I'll hand over now to my colleague, Rosanna, to take you through the importance to the consumer and a little bit on front of package warning labels.
Great, thanks so much for that, Juanetta. So now we're going to go into the nitty-gritty of front of package warning labeling, so you can get more in-depth information on what it is and what we're actually lobbying for here in Jamaica. So here's an introduction to front of package warning labeling. So front of package warning labels are symbols and rating systems that are specifically placed on the front of food products or beverages. And these are strategically or specifically placed on the front of processed food packages, all right? So these are foods that have been cooked, canned, frozen, packaged, or changed from its nutritional composition from its natural form. So it may have either gone through some fortification process, preservation process, or it was just simply prepared in a totally different way, all right, that changes the nutritional composition. So it's those foods and beverages that front of package warning labels would be placed on the front of. And these are simple, clear graphics on the front of these packaged or processed food products to provide information about nutrients of concern, right? That correlate to obesity, diabetes, and other non-communicable diseases. So these nutrients of concern we refer to are your unhealthy fats, which would be your saturated fats and your trans fats, sodium or salt, and added sugars. So there are myriads of front of package labeling schemes, as my colleague mentioned earlier, that are used globally. So there are different classifications as well. So you have the non-interpretive schemes, which only provides information. So as you see there, the example is a percentage guideline daily amount. And as the name suggests, it's non-interpretive because if this label is put on the front of a package, the consumer would still require some level of literacy and understanding to calculate how much of each nutrient of concern they should be consuming based on what is contained in that food product. There are the semi-interpretive systems, and they're used in countries such as Ecuador, UK, and South Africa. And one example you see there is the traffic light system. And this is derived from the colors that are used on this scheme of front of package labeling, where nutrients that are highly excessive in amounts in a food product or a beverage are given a red color code. Those with medium content are in yellow, and those low in that nutrient are given the green color. and this would still require some amount of interpretation from a consumer. Then there are the summary information systems that just use one summary indicator, such as the Australian Health Star that you see at the center and at the bottom of the screen. However, there are the totally interpretive systems, which we term as warning labels, and these use a nutrient profiling system, and one such is the PAHO nutrient profile, which is a very robust system, but countries have actually used it to devise their own standards process to, for their front package warning labels. And some of these are like Chile, Peru, Uruguay, and Mexico, who have implemented the high in black octagonal model that you see there on the screen that says alto in azúcares, alto in calorías, which translates to high in sugar, high in calories, etc. All right, and existing research, the breadth of research and evidence available confirm that these interpretive labels, specifically the high in black octagonal model, is most effective. So this black octagonal high in warning label, which we're also advocating for here in Jamaica, are simple, clearly visible black octagonal models to warn or inform us of what is unhealthy about some foods. All right, and as my colleague alluded to earlier, I mean, there are a lot of processed prepackaged foods and beverages that are being sold or marketed and made available island-wide, and especially in our schools, and most of them are laden with the unhealthy fats, salt, and added sugars. So it is these products that we're advocating for the high in black octagonal warning label to be placed on. All right, so not all products would actually require the label. It's only those that, based on the PAHO nutrient profile model, that our standards regulation body here in the Jamaican local health authorities would actually, create a set of standards to say if this is a threshold, and if the product exceeds that threshold, then they would be given the front of package high in black octagonal model. All right, and this type of label can help to help us make the best choices for our health, to reduce our risk of diseases such as hypertension or high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes, heart disease, and certain types of cancer. So basically, as you see, it's called the high in warning model because it simply and clearly states high in with the nutrient of concern. So the evidence behind it. So in late December to early 2021, February to be specific, there was a randomized control study done by the Pan American Health Organization, our local Ministry of Health and Wellness, and the University of Technology Jamaica on 3 front of package labeling schemes, and the control variable was the regular nutrition facts panel. So these 3 labels were the traffic light that is used in UK, as I showed you earlier. There's also one that is called the magnifying glass model, and the high in black octagonal model. And it's aimed to examine the best performing front of package scheme in Jamaica. And in summary, the high in black octagonal model came out as the most superior. So the efficacy was proven through this study. It was conducted across 9 parishes of Jamaica. And the black octagonal model proved that consumers were 2 times more likely to correctly identify the least harmful product for their health. It also was, consumers were nearly 2 times more likely to decide to purchase the least harmful product for their health, and consumers were 9 times more likely to identify when a product was high in those nutrients of concern. So that's the sodium, added sugars, saturated fats, and trans fats. So as it relates to the status in the Caribbean, since 2018, the CARICOM Regional Organization for Standards and Quality or CROSSQ for short, has been revising the regional standard specifications for labeling on prepackaged foods, and is to consider the incorporation of the Black octagonal high-in warning label. So currently we are at the approval stage, and this required 15 member states to vote for the approval of the model to be implemented in this labeling standard. Jamaica's vote is usually determined by our National Bureau Committee of Stakeholders, and it is facilitated by the Bureau of Standards of Jamaica. So the voting process took place initially on March 30th, and this is where majority of the stakeholders supported the standard for the inclusion of the Black octagonal model. However, things took an eventful twist or turn when an irregularity occurred. So there was a revote that occurred on June 4th of this year, which resulted in a number of governmental agencies changing their vote. And this eventually led to the change in Jamaica's overall position towards the high-end Black octagonal warning label. All right, so the matter was then referred to Cabinet, which did not support the standard with the inclusion of this model, and therefore Jamaica's vote, as aforementioned, was negative towards the standard. However, here at the Heart Foundation of Jamaica, along with our partners, we continue our work in advocacy for the implementation of this model, as the evidence, is there to show that, hey, apart from evidence outside of Jamaica, the wider region, there is evidence for our island that shows that, the efficacy is there. It is effective in helping our consumers to make healthier food choices. So some of the challenges we currently face to, get this model of warning label implemented in the Caribbean and Jamaica. So we've had some recent pushback from the food industry against it, right? So the process was initiated over 2 years ago and has been heavily influenced by the food and beverage industry. And they have been very vocal in their opposition to the introduction of front of package warning labels. All right, so they've employed a number of strategies to either derail, thwart the efforts or delay the process. All right, okay. And, it's also highlighted that FOPL or front of package warning label is a public health issue. However, they use trade arguments to, dominate the conversation. We've also had a challenge where evidence is concerned in decision-making for policies. So there's not much evidence used in decision-making processes here. We've also seen conflicts of interest and industry interference, especially now in the era of COVID, where you see a lot of, food and beverage companies on the scene, right? And it kind of entails, corporate social responsibility. So you see that a lot of, food donations have been given even to, health agencies or health bodies, to, beneficiaries on, welfare programs. And we are aware that, yes, the help is needed, but at the same time, the morality of it, we have to look at the moral implications and the messages that this sends. All right, messages that they send. All right, we've also had challenges with the socio-economic issues affecting access to healthy foods. So a common phrase you hear nowadays that, to eat healthy in Jamaica in general, it's expensive. The reality is that we do expect, surging prices for, fresh fruits and vegetables or grown provision or products that are healthy. But at the same time, we need to equip our Jamaican consumers with the tools necessary to make healthier choices. So if it is, it means that people will resort to convenience foods, which are these prepackaged processed foods, because of the affordability and availability. At the same time, equip them with the tools to help them make this, decisions towards, improving their health status and reducing their risk of non-communicable diseases such as type 2 diabetes, obesity. Right now, 54% of the population is obese, high blood pressure, stroke, cancer, etc. So we know that we are not alone in the fight. We persist in our advocacy efforts for front of package warning labeling. So we have leading global and regional public health organizations, calling on governments to introduce FOPL systems as part of a comprehensive policy approach to promote healthy diets, right? And these include the UN Special Rapporteur on the Right to Health, PAHO, the Pan American Health Organization, the Healthy Caribbean Coalition, who we work closely with, the Caribbean Public Health Agency, or CARPHA for short. We also work along with them, the World Cancer Research Fund, and a growing number of CARICOM ministries of health and health professionals. So what does front of package warning labels mean for the consumer? So they do work in empowering consumers to make healthier food decisions, all right? Because the reality of it is that when you go into a supermarket, or a wholesale, a corner shop, or even a roadside street vendor, we go for products that we regularly buy, what we're familiar with, and we naturally don't spend time to read labels. Some of us are health conscious, and we do make the efforts to, make healthier food decisions, right? So this front of package warning labeling will help us, will ease some of the challenges we have to, understanding and interpreting the nutrition facts panel to select foods that are better for our health, or even help us to reduce our consumption of some of these foods with egregious amounts of unhealthy fats, salt, and sugar. So they allow us to correctly, quickly, and easily identify products that contain these nutrients. And the simple, visible model or label, provides a clear understanding for us and helps us when you're, to make the comparison when we're comparing foods while we're doing food shopping, much easier for, more informed choices. As it relates to human rights as well, from the human rights perspective, it guarantees protection of our right to be healthy, the right to information and to safe, nutritious food, and for children's right to optimum health and nutrition. It will also, guarantee support for other policies that support good nutrition in schools, because this would also intertwine with the restriction of marketing of unhealthy food products to children, and also the school nutrition policy. It will also, give lift to availability of healthier food options. So front of package warning labels also sometimes arguments arose that we're trying to deter persons from purchasing food products, but we're really not. It's just, as I said, to equip consumers with the tools to make more informed choices or healthier choices. So even if a person normally eats a can of a certain product or a package of chips 7 days per week, with this front of package warning labeling on the front, they'll be able to say, oh, this is high in saturated fats. I know that this is not good for me, can lead to buildup of plaque in my arteries, give me high cholesterol, etc., etc. So here what, if I normally eat 7 days per week, let me not buy the 7 packs, let me buy at least 6, I cut out 1 day at a time until I can gradually reduce my consumption pattern. All right. It also encourages the food industry to reformulate. So that's, that's like something I said, that's the most logical aspect that should stand out to the food and beverage industry. If you reformulate your food product, then that simply means your product would not be required to have a front of package warning label on the front. And we must commend the efforts of some food and beverage manufacturers who have been taking the opportunity to reformulate products. So you do see products, available now that, say they have, it's back, it's a brand new, it's a product with the same great flavor, but it's lower in sugar, lower in fat, or lower in salt. And this in turn benefits the consumer. So, as I was mentioning earlier, for the consumer, front of package warning label interprets that less time to calculate and interpret the information provided on the nutrition facts panel. And if the product does not have one, or if it's, hard to understand or in another language, then this just takes off, you know, a whole load of pressure. So as you see there on the left of the screen, the nutrition facts panel, it's, you know, it's time consuming for a person to go through and say, okay, this entire packet has 2 servings. And if all this information provided here is just for one of those servings, you'd have to calculate 2 and then you say, all right, I normally eat 1 pack at a time. I need to cut down. And if you're on a specialized diet for a certain health condition, it can get even more complex. So with all of that information there and, you know, what is used in the ingredients list, which would, you know, comprise a nutrition facts panel, a simple warning label would reduce the stress of turning around to look at that with just a big high in at the front of it. So the importance of front of package warning labels. So this is just a summary of all the information that, you know, we've provided. So ultimately, healthier choices to reduce the risk of obesity and non-communicable diseases such as type 2 diabetes. It elevates health awareness among Jamaican consumers and consumer knowledge. It promotes healthier food decisions and protects those who are vulnerable. So persons living with NCDs, you know, they'll be equipped to make healthier food choices to help to improve their health and prevent further complications and reduce the risk of even persons who are not living with NCDs, you know, reduce their risk. Parents and guardians can also be able to choose healthier foods for their children when they are shopping. It also reduces health costs for the country, families, and individuals, because the reality of it is that all of these non-communicable diseases, they are a burden on our local health authority. All right. So with these in place, with this measure in place, it can help to reduce some of that cost burden on our local health ministry. All right. And some of that, that money can be put towards other necessities for, you know, the health of, you know, improving the health of the population. And end result, prevention is better than cure. So why not put this measure in place to prevent future incidences of NCDs while you're reducing current, you know, risk and reducing current prevalence and, you know, secure or save future generations to come. So research has been done before as well to show that Jamaicans support front of package warning labels. So based on prior campaign evaluation findings, so we do pre-campaign tests, and then we also do post-campaign evaluation studies. And based on these, as of August 19, we found that 55% of Jamaicans agree or strongly agree that it takes too much time to interpret the nutrition facts panel on the back of a food or beverage product. 92% of, you know, the population strongly support front of package warning labels on food and beverage products, and 82% of the population strongly agree on the policy requiring clear warning labels on the front of food and beverage packages that warn when foods are high in the nutrients of concern, again, your added sugars, your salt or fats, and 87% strongly agree to support government's efforts to increase children's access to healthy foods and drinks. So why front of package warning labels? So these are some key messages from our campaign. Foods high in sodium, fats, and sugar increase the risk of hypertension or high blood pressure, obesity, type 2 diabetes, heart disease, and some types of cancer. We support front of package warning labels. We're on the side of health. Join us, and I hope all of you are. And the health of our people must come first. And those are at the bottom, you see 2 hashtags, which we use across all our social media platforms when we're spreading our campaign messages. So you see them on, as we are active on, you know, every social media platform, well, the 3 main ones, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And most of our, you know, all our messages that are surrounding, you know, messages from our campaign on front of package warning labels, you see those hashtags. And we encourage the public to join in and support us as we lobby for, you know, policies to be put in place for the scheme, right? And on the right, that's just a clip from one of our print materials. So we do have material available, and if it's that person's request, as part of not only for the campaign, but as part of our public education activities, we do provide health promotional material geared towards making healthy lifestyle changes, how to manage certain conditions such as hypertension, or even a simple backyard gardening. We have a brochure on that, in partnership with the Jamaica 4-H Club. So we have a wealth of information available to the public, which can be accessed from our website, or we have special requests that we can share Dropbox links with specific key messages or health information that you require that we have available to share. So we're almost at the end. So I'm going to share with you our current campaign commercial. Some of you might already be familiar with it. Some, it might be your first time seeing it. So I'm going to share with you just a 30-second ad you might see on TV, especially during prime time or midday. I'll share with you now. Hopefully you can hear my computer sound.
More than half of us agree it takes too much time to understand the nutrition facts panel, but we can quickly understand that 80% of deaths in Jamaica are caused by non-communicable diseases. Without knowing, we consume excess foods high in sugar, fats, and sodium, which can lead to obesity, type 2 diabetes, and hypertension. Especially now, we need warning labels on the front of our food packages to easily identify unhealthy foods. We support front of package warning labels. We're on the side of health. Join us. Give us octagonal, high in front of package warning labels. A message from the Heart Foundation of Jamaica and partners. More than half of us agree it takes too much time to understand the nutrition facts panel, but we can quickly understand that 80% of deaths in Jamaica are caused by non-communicable diseases. Without knowing, we consume excess foods high in sugar, fats, and sodium, which can lead to obesity, type 2 diabetes, and hypertension. Especially now, we need warning labels on the front of our food packages to easily identify unhealthy foods. We support front of package warning labels. We're on the side of health. Join us. Give us octagonal, high in front of package warning labels. A message from the Heart Foundation of Jamaica and partners.
Okay, so that's the end of our presentation. And those are the handles of our social media profiles. Feel free to follow us and support our campaign. Feel free to reshare, retweet our messages. There's a link to our the URL for our website. Feel free to go on there, and on the Health Education and Advocacy tab, you'll see the Global Health Advocacy Project, and we do have a wealth of material available online for download or for viewing. And thank you once more for giving us the opportunity to be here to share with you the importance of front of package warning labels and how beneficial they are to us as Jamaican consumers. And we hope that you are able to take away a number of messages from this that will help you in making more informed and healthier decisions for going forward. So we are now open to any questions, comments, or concerns that you might have. Myself or any one of my colleagues online will be more than happy to answer.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Spike and Ms. Nurse for this presentation. Of course, we'll be glad if our participants could ask questions, but I see two questions in the chat. The first one, that is from me. The first question is, what is the main distinguishing feature between warning labels and other front of package labeling schemes? And why is the Heart Foundation of Jamaica advocating for warning labels versus other modules?
Okay, I will take that question. Rosanna, could you screen share on the slide?
All right,
yes,
sure.
Slide 13. Okay, yes. So the different types of front of package labeling. So as my colleague would have said, yes, there are many different types. They she pulls up the slide, you can see. Okay, yes. So the warning label is on the right of your screen. So you can see the distinguishing feature there. It's that, you know, it's in an octagonal shape, and it also just has 3 words. It will say high in salt, high in fat, high in sugar, or high in saturated fat. As opposed to, for example, what we call the traffic light model on the left, where you see the 3 colors of the traffic light, the green, the yellow, and the red. So the front of pack labeling in general has a single policy objective, and that is to inform the consumer to make healthier choices. However, what distinguishes the warning label from every other type, it is that it interprets different levels of nutrients for you. So for example, the traffic light will say low, medium, high, and it says 18% calories, 356 calories. And you would have to kind of do an interpretation. It says it's medium in calories. But with the octagonal label, based on a threshold, it already determines if it's high, and you can make a simpler decision there. The second distinguishing fact is that these models have all been compared to each other. So evidence from Chile, for example, has shown that when compared to each other, the warning label has shown to be the most effective in allowing consumers to identify healthier products. Parts of the study even show that children were able to identify healthier products. And studies have also been done in Uruguay, Peru, that have also shown that when compared to the other models, the warning label is the most effective. Then the study that my colleague spoke about, study done in Jamaica, which again compared all of these models. It was a nationally representative sample across 9 parishes. And for Jamaican consumers, they were able to identify the healthier products. They were more likely to identify the healthier product when it had the warning label included, as opposed to the other types of front of package labeling. And it's on that basis, the basis of the existing evidence of the efficacy and the effectiveness of the warning label as opposed to others. That is why we advocate for front of package warning labels. And every policy objective that we have is actually evidence-based. So we look at where the initiative has been implemented, and if it's been effective, and if it has been recommended by leading health organizations. So really it's about the effectiveness, and I don't think we can get any better than a study that's done right here to show us which one is more effective for Jamaican consumers. And again, the policy objective is for a way to provide consumers with an easy, simple way on the front of the package. That is the printable display panel, the thing you see first, and that will stand out the most, that will provide consumers with information to make healthier choices with the longer term goal of reducing and preventing NCDs. And again, this is the one that the evidence shows is the most effective.
Thank you very much, Ms. Nurse. I see a participant, our President-elect Letna from the Kiwanis Club in Toronto, Caribbean, Toronto. You may proceed with your question, please.
Thank you, President Paul. Good afternoon, good evening, or good night, everyone. My question, I'm a rural girl. I'm from Deep Clarendon, Trout Hall. And your information, the information that you gave both Ms. Pike and Ms. Nurse, very valuable to people who have access to this information. But your products are available mostly in the big box stores that you have there, right? I don't remember their names. You know, the big box stores I'm talking. Like there's one going up Upper Waterloo Road, and there's one in Red Hills, and the big stores. There's also one in, yes, big box stores like those and the big warehouse stores. But what sort of education do you have for people from deep rural Jamaica who eat these things and do not have access to this information that you're giving? Do you have like community groups, roundtable meetings, and get like community advocate to go into this community and to educate these people about the type of food they should be eating and what they should be eating and how they should be reading their labels? Because a lot of those people are coming up with cancers of all nature, and the food you eat, the type of food you eat, is a big attribute to cancer in the body: breast cancer, prostate cancer, liver cancer, kidney cancer, all sorts of cancer in the body. So the food that they eat, heavy starch, etc., promotes cancer in the body. So I just wonder if you have like an education system to go into deep rural communities in Jamaica to educate these people.
All right, thanks so much for that question. I will, that's Ms. Letner. So I will start, and if there's anything I've left off, I'm sure Bonetta will add to it or correct me. So we do public sensitization. We do have outreach activities where we do go island-wide. I mean, since the age of COVID, we have been limited in our, activities, especially face-to-face interactions. So we do on event, occasions go across the island. So no, it doesn't matter where in certain parishes, whether it's Portland, it's St. Thomas, it's in St. Anne. So we do go out and we educate public, even vendors, because we used to have a vendor sensitization program as well, as it relates to, the beverages that they sell, specifically sugar sweetened beverages. So we do go out, we educate persons how to read the food label, go through each step with them to ensure that they understand. And this is for all age ranges. So from the rural schools to adults, parents and caregivers of these children or students. So we do teach them how to read the label. We also, employ strategies to teach them what is a portion or a serving of even the same fresh fruits and vegetables that they may grow and eat, because at the end of the day, they might think that, oh, if I eat a lot of fruits or a lot of starchy foods, I won't, it's healthy. But at the same time, we encourage them that they have to be mindful that, everything is in moderation, because still foods, too much sugar will contribute to, high diabetes or being overweight or obese, and all of these are correlated. So we do sensitization and public outreach. We also go into the clinics. So we have a network of clinics that we work with, and we do outreach in those, set up or display booth. We also do this in our library. We work with the Jamaica Library Service. Well, since COVID, we've had to be doing this through the Zoom platform, online platform, where, parents and children across the 14 parish library networks, they come online, and we do health education sessions and health promotion sessions with them on reading food labels, fruits and vegetables, maintaining healthy lifestyles, physical activity, etc. And also the front of package warning label campaign, we introduce them to that, the key campaign messages, and all of that. So we do all of that. We do go around. So since the age of COVID, our face-to-face interactions and outreach have been limited. We also go into workplaces as well. So that's a corporate outreach. So we do have that aspect.
Thank you.
Just to add to what Rosanna is saying, and I love your question because it's so, so pertinent, because sometimes we focus more on certain parishes when we're passing on this information, but it's really our partners. We try to broaden our reach through a lot of partnerships. So as Rosanna mentioned with the library service, but also Jamaica 4-H clubs. At one point, we were doing a lot of community outreach, which is Social Development Commission. We were also in the Parenting Support Commission, Ministry of Health in the communities and the schools. So wherever they go, we would just fit in wherever the school is, wherever the community center is. And that is really, and we're looking to expand our partnerships as well. So through those groups, those community groups, the school groups, the parenting groups, we do try as much as possible to spread our reach across the island in all areas as well.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Pike and Ms. Nurse. DP Stewart, I'll take your question, then we will move to the vote of thanks.
Okay, President Paul. I wondered about, I heard the term trans fats mentioned once, and I am aware of the dangers of trans fats. And I know that there are countries, some European countries have already banned it. So I was kind of wondering, why isn't there more of a focus specifically on trans fats? I mean, you mentioned fats and saturated fats. I don't know if it falls into one of those categories, but the term is getting more widely known and the dangers are getting more widely known. So I was just wondering why there's no emphasis on it. And a second part, I noticed a lot of the labeling or it uses the term sodium as opposed to salt. Did you do any research to indicate whether or not everybody knew that sodium was salt? I'm just wondering from a communication point of view. Thank you.
Okay, I can take the first question, the issue of trans fat. So actually the Ministry of Health has an entire program to moving towards the elimination of trans fat in our foods. So I believe that would be an indication of their, awareness of the dangers of trans fat and the need for such a project to try to get as much as possible a kind of a reduction in our foods and an elimination. So while the front of package warning labels that you saw wouldn't necessarily have those, there's a whole host of other initiatives that actually will seek to eventually eliminate trans fat from our foods completely. So therefore, in the issue of a high in warning label, some food, the foods, it will just be maybe eventually prohibited in our foods eventually. The issue of salt and sodium, I'm trying to look back, Rosanna, to see the PAHO study, which type of label they used. Actually, they used high in sodium. I believe they used high in sodium they did their testing. Yeah, when they did their testing. So I don't think that they would have done a preliminary, like a focus group or any type of testing to see if people understand it. But the study did show that people understood when the product was high in sodium as opposed to the other types of labels. I'd have to check back to see if they did any kind of preliminary.
And to add to that,
something that we do notice. We are cognizant of the fact that people, So in our own communication, we kind of use
interchange for persons to be aware, and we also, try to break it down as it relates to the recommended daily allowance. That person say, okay, if the label, something says you're supposed to have 2,000 milligrams of sodium for the day, we say, okay, this translates to, approximately 1 teaspoon of salt, and if you're hypertensive, then it's approximately 1/4 teaspoon or 3/4 teaspoon based on your diet needs. So we do try to use it interchangeably in our communication and educate persons on the translation from sodium to salt as it relates to the recommended daily amounts.
Okay, thank you very much.
I can send an article about the elimination of trans fat in our foods. Jamaica Gleaner article, which indicates that we're going in that direction. Mr. Spencer.
Yeah,
Yes.
so we can share with all relevant material with
Okay.
Mr. Peart and he can circulate it.
Okay, then we'll.
Sorry, President Paul, I just had one little quick follow-up.
Yes, please.
Because the octagonal warning symbols are based on a threshold. How effective would it be if a manufacturer or if all manufacturers just decided to just include as much as they could, but just short of the threshold? In which case they wouldn't have to put on any labeling. Would that in any way counteract what you're trying to achieve? I mean, I'm just wondering.
Well, what we're trying to achieve is a reduction in consumption of foods high in salt, fat, and sugar. So if there are no foods high in salt, fat, and sugar, we'd be very happy. So if
No,
they
I
are
mean, you
reformulating
have a
and
limit.
reducing-
Sorry.
Right,
No, I mean,
yes,
you
but
have-
that limit is based on public health concern. So if they're going below that limit, it's no longer a concern.
Okay.
So that's the, and a lot of companies have been trying to reformulate to get down. And so if they're reformulating, it can only be a win for the Jamaican consumer, because then the products will be healthier. Only the products that are over the threshold will then have the label, and those are the ones we'd have to worry about. We would have a plethora of healthier choices if they go below the limit, below the threshold. And that's the real purpose. That's the real purpose, to get people to have healthier choices and to make healthier choices.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And to move our vote of thanks, we'll ask Kiwanis, our senior, to do so.
Yes, I'd like to take the opportunity to thank our speakers, Juanita Nurse and Rosanna Pike, for joining us this evening. Your talk was clear and informative and has given us insight on the benefits of front of package warning labels and the contributions it could make towards improving the health of Jamaicans. We wish you much success in this endeavor. So once again, on behalf of the Kiwanis Club of Kingston, thank you for joining us and sharing.
And we have a certificate of appreciation, our senior.
Yes, we'd like to present both of you with the certificate of appreciation.
Thank you. It was a pleasure, as I said before.
Yes, I will ensure that that those certificates are delivered.
There are two. There are two.
There are
One
two
for
of them.
each.
Yes, thank you very much. I'll ensure that they're delivered, EP Stewart. And thank you so very much, Ms. Nurse and Ms. Pike. We really appreciate this presentation. It was very informative and educative. And I'm sure that we will take heed and try to get this objective achieved as a country. We'll have our Sergeant at Arms, DP Desmond. If you could extract some fines from.
Thank you, President.
Yes.
I'm not fining anyone this evening for not turning on their cameras.
No, okay.
I promise I will do that next time, and the fine is going to be heavy. All right, I only have 3 short ones, little ones. First one, you can help me complete this. Early to bed, early to rise makes what? Early to bed, early to rise makes?
A man healthy, happy and wise.
Happy and wise. Makes people suspicious.
Healthy, wealthy, and wise.
Makes me suspicious. The second one. I think they picked me for my motivational skills. Everyone always says they work twice as hard when I'm around. That's not a slave driver. But the last one, I once heard 2 ladies going on and on about the pains of childbirth and how many seemed to know what real pain was. Well, I interrupted and asked if they knew how painful it was to get caught in a zipper.
Charge him, charge him.
That's it, President.
Okay, thank you very much. That's a good one. Yes, yes. Okay. DLG Willie, you will take our notices and announcements.
Hopefully I'll finish my presentation soon. And that was.
Yes, President Paul. In respect to notices, Kiwanians, particularly our members, please note next week we celebrate as Key Club Week from Sunday the 7th to Friday the 12th. Next week, we'll be having our Key Club Role Model meeting, which will be conducted, presided over by our SLP members. The promises to be an excited evening and hope we have a good turnout to support our SLP members. There are no other notices that I'm aware of, but insofar as interclubbing opportunities, note that tomorrow evening, again, Kiwanis Club of New Kingston is inviting us to their meeting at 6:30. On Thursday, that's the 4th, Friends Across Borders meeting starts at 8 o'clock, and at North St. Andrew meeting starts at 6:30. Those are the interclub opportunities for Wednesday and Thursday. President Paul, may be other guests in the room, they may like to make announcements.
Yes, thank you very much, Secretary DLG Willie. Are there any members on our platform wish to make any announcement? I invite you to. Okay, then. We'll have the thought of the week from our DP Stewart. Normally give us 2 thoughts.
Okay, President Paul. The first one I have is, do not go where the path may lead. Go instead where there is no path and leave a trail. And the second one is, it is not enough not to do wrong. You also have to be willing to do something when you see wrong being done. And that's my second one. And may I also add, in regards to the Key Club meeting, some of you might be interested in knowing that we're gonna have a special guest speaker who is also a Key Clubber. And he is the Calabar person, his name is Anthony Parker, who was recently featured in the Observer having overcome cancer. And he will be our guest speaker to our Key Clubbers. So you might want to keep that in mind. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, DP Stewart. I'm going to ask that we, at this time, that we all raise our glasses, imaginary, to our toast to Kiwanis International and to Jamaica land we love. This meeting of the Kiwanis Club of Kingston is now terminated.
And DP Desmond, if you can
Thank
put
you
the
very much,
co-host.
everyone, for being here. Ms. Pike and Ms. Nurse.
As the host.
Just scroll down to the Kiwanis Club of Kingston. That's where I am, rather than Stuart Spencer. You understand?
Yes, yes. All right, I look for it.
President,
Yes.
President have a real glass, you see, not imaginary one.
Okay, next time I'll get a real one. Oh, you do? Okay. What is in the glass?
Empty.
Empty. Okay.
I'm looking for your DP, Stuart.
No, front package.
just it's in alphabetical order. So go down to K's. Go down to the K's. You'll see. I just realized they are in alphabetical order. So,
Miss Nurse and Miss Pike and Miss Cook, another member